I'm hoping you can give me some help, because the longer I stay in Copenhagen, the more unhappy I become. You said, and everyone, the group seemed to, the room seemed to approve when you said, it doesn't matter what they do in the Bella Centre, just say what you need to do in your own community.
Well, go ahead.
So this is what I want to cover, that I'm a community activist. My own community, an eco-village in Scotland, has the lowest carbon footprint that's ever been measured in the industrialised world. We're exporters of electricity. We are largely self-reliant in organic food. We do so much in all these different fields. And I'm part of the global eco-village network that works across Senegal and many of my own background is in Africa. And in fact, the reason I'm living in the community I'm living in is it's the most African corner of Europe I could find. But I no longer believe this is true, that if we all just work at the own community level, it's going to be okay, because we have a global problem that if we don't solve it, it doesn't matter what we do at the community level, is what I'm feeling. And so as I watch what's happening in the Bella Centre, I think if we don't, we've got a global problem. If we don't solve it, all our community initiatives will be washed away. And I'm wondering if you find yourself able to look at the bigger picture and still stay hopeful and optimistic, and if so, how? Help me.
Let me stand, because I really want to encourage you. Look, what is happening here is extremely important. That's why we came. And some of us have been preparing at the national level. In Kenya, we had what we are calling the road to Copenhagen. We were trying to raise awareness about the fact that this meeting was going to take place. And we would sometimes organize our meetings, we would call governments, and governments wouldn't come. But we kept going, we kept organizing, we kept pushing forward. What will happen is extremely important. The language that will be put there is very, very important. This morning we were talking about the fact that it is extremely important that the women, the children, the vulnerable communities, the indigenous communities, the forest-dependent people, that the language is in those documents. So people who are negotiating, we are telling them, make sure that that language is there. Because if that language is not there, when we go home, we cannot even talk to our governments if that language is not there. But if it is there, we can go, we can talk to our governments, we can eventually talk to our legislators, and those issues will be taken into Parliament, and eventually we might be able to make a difference in the lives of these people at home. So I'm not in any way trivializing the document that is going to come out. And I'm not trivializing the need for the money that we need. Europe yesterday committed, I'm told, $10.5 million. That's nothing compared to what is being requested for. But what I also know is the very, very first meeting I went to was in Vancouver in 1976. Many of you were not born in that time, so let me tell you what was happening in ancient times. We went to Vancouver and we were talking about habitat. I was there because the idea of planting trees had already been planted in me, and I was sharing with the people there that I would like to plant trees in cities. And in every conference, ever since and before then, I have never been to a conference where people went home with everything they wanted to have. Or went home with all the money they needed, because there is no conference without having a document and money. But even when we went to Mexico as women in 1975, the very first women's conference, we wanted to have a document, and we wanted money. And we wanted governments to commit money. And eventually what was decided is that there should be not a legally binding mechanism to support women, but a voluntary fund. So they created a voluntary fund for women. And my friend, some of you may know, Peg Snyder, became the first director of that voluntary fund. Today, that voluntary fund is UNIFEM, which is a body, a legal body of the United Nations, taking care of women issues, and is still trying to push the agenda that women were pushing in 1975. And today, when we were talking about gender, we were saying we have come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. So that's really my position. So I don't allow myself to be disappointed. I'm always trying in the back of my mind to think, whatever comes out, what shall we do? Because I'm quite sure I know for sure we shall not get out of here with the document we want. That's for sure. That's reality. We shall not get out of here with the money we prefer to have, especially those of us from Africa. That's reality. And if we are not lucky, we might not even have a legally binding document. But 110 plus heads of states are coming here. And I don't believe 110 heads of states, including President Obama, Prime Minister of Great Britain, Gordon Brown, President Sarkozy of France, I can go down, the President of China, the President of India. I don't believe that all those heads of states are coming here for a piece of cake. These are serious people. So they will come here to do serious business. So if they don't produce something they can put on they can sign on the dotted line, it is because it is not good enough. And I personally would rather they said, we can't put the signature on the dotted line, it's not good enough. We must keep negotiating, rather than say, some of them sign, and then, as happened in Kyoto, some very important ones, like the United States, didn't sign. And for the rest of the time, we have been singing, when will the United States of America sign the Kyoto Protocol? They never signed. And as a result, they watered it down. And many other governments did not go far enough because they kept waiting for the United States of America. Or they felt, if the United States of America is not going to do it, why should we be bothered? So I'm really hoping that when they come, they will agree to a document that they can really sign on the dotted line. Enough of them. And the important ones. I can go there and call myself a country, who cares? But there are some countries which, if they don't sign, we won't go anywhere. So it's important that, yes, we value that document very much. We put our trust there, we keep talking. You never know. I don't know whether here there is a delegate who is a negotiator. And we'll be sitting in the table tomorrow and telling people, I think it is very important for us to cross this T for the sake of the people of this planet. Because where I was last night, what I heard and saw really moved me. You never know. That's why we are here. That's why we shout. That's why we march. That's why we have these side events, to try to influence them. And when we hear that 110 and plus are coming, we should be grateful and say, okay, let's just hope that when they come here, they will not go home without a document that is legally binding, without an amount of money that is not a slap on the face of those who are vulnerable. And if we do so, if we go home with a substantial amount of money that we hope will be given to COP, I don't know whether it will be given to COP or whether it will be given to the African Development Bank for Africa, or whether it will be given to World Bank, or whether they will create a new financial mechanism. I have no idea what they are discussing, but I am sure all these are on the table.